vacation to Orlando for just $490.
Hello.
What do you
Send
want
a text to a guest.
800-208-0414, 800-208-0414, and give us your answer. Preceding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways and not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
I hear the music playing, so here we go. Welcome in, Monday edition, Bruce Hooley Show. It is really not a revelation to any of us that the Democrats lack a lot of things that you and I have. A devotion to the truth, an understanding of common sense, a love for Western values, the foundations of America's founding. But I found one other thing that they lack. Over the weekend, we had, according to those who were there, thousands. And when I say those who were there, I mean the nut jobs who were carrying posters and protesting as part of the hands-off protests around the country. They had, according to themselves, so they're kind of like the authorities on their own protests, like the Gazan Health Ministry is the authority on the number of deaths in Gaza. But okay, we'll give them, I mean, you know, look, we know Columbus is awash in Democrats. The entire city council, mayor's office, every elected office, every Franklin County commissioner. We know it's awash in Democrats, so we know it's not awash in truth, logic. We know that, okay. But here's what else Democrats do not have, besides a love for the truth and respect for common sense or the ability to muster it on their own. They lack any sense of irony. Any sense of irony. Because, let me just start with the fact that these protests that took place downtown and apparently in Grove City, Delaware, and Newark, although I can't swear to it, I'm just believing the Columbus Dispatch, which, you know, is a newspaper, and that's always dangerous to believe what's in a newspaper, particularly in the Dispatch. But the name of the protest is a hands-off protest, okay? So Democrats throughout the country, this is part of the 50-51 larger umbrella protest movement, 50 protests in 50 states on one day. Clever. They're also called the hands-off protests. All right, so right off the top, I'm saying to myself, Democrats are embracing a hands-off movement, are they? Whose hands do they want, and what do they want those hands off of? Well, they want Donald Trump and Elon Musk's hands off government grants, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. They want their hands off that. They want the duly elected president of the United States not to do anything, which, look, they just had a president, their president, Joe Biden, whose hands were off everything except his auto pen, although we can't be sure Biden actually signed anything with the auto pen because he could barely stand up, barely function, couldn't find his way off stage, which is now becoming a story that's okay for people like Ron Klain, the chief of staff to Joe Biden early in his presidency, to admit. Why? Well, now because there's money to be made off telling how things really happened. All those years that they were lying to you about Biden being cogent, the best Biden ever, Joe Scarborough said, had served a purpose in the moment, but now there's money to be made, so we're going to go this route. All right, so Trump and Musk, the Democrats protesting, want hands off. Hands off. This is for those who say the Democratic Party cannot evolve. I think we're going to have to rethink that. They have evolved from a party that wanted their hands on, well, no, they haven't really evolved. They still want their hands on kids' genitals. They want their hands and their scalpels on that, okay? They wanted their hands on masks, vaccines, booster shots. They definitely want their hands on your guns. They want their hands on what kind of car you can drive. They want their hands on what kind of stove you can have. They want their hands on what kind of light bulbs you can buy. They want their hands on what kind of energy you can buy for your house. No internal combustion energy, internal combustion engine, welcome, solar, battery power, all that. They want their hands on and they definitely, going back to 2008, want their hands on your health care. Because after all, it is a human right, and they are always right and can plausibly argue they are human, although they are also demonic in a lot of the things that they want. So they were gathering downtown for their little hands-off protest, completely oblivious to the irony of embracing hands-off when they want their hands on everything. So let's delve into what their beef is. First of all, I would like to remind those people who were protesting that we had a little thing on November the 5th called an election. And the way an election works, which I don't think I should have to explain it to you, but I will. I don't think I should have to, because you're the ones always prattling on about democracy, democracy, democracy. You should understand that when you lose an election, once upon a time, there was a politician who said, elections have consequences. Anybody remember who said that? Oh, I remember who said that. Barack Obama said that. Elections have consequences. Well, it turns out that elections still have consequences. And Donald Trump is the president. And Donald Trump was elected by the majority of Americans in a little thing we call democracy to do exactly what he promised to do. And he's doing it. And you don't like it. And I understand you don't like it, but you're sore losers. And so you gather under the highly ironic, but nevertheless completely stupid mantle of this being a hands-off protest. The message, according to Danae King, who chronicles this in the Columbus Dispatch, is that the people protesting, quote, do not consent to the destruction of our government and our economy for the benefit of Trump and his billionaire allies. Okay. Horns honked at protesters as cars drove along high streets, and chants of, here we go, no recognition of irony, the protesters were chanting, tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Okay, I'll grant you that the Constitution allows for peaceful protest, but democracy also allows for other people to outvote you and put someone in office who you oppose. We swallowed it from 2021 to January 19th of 2025, and now you get your turn. You get your turn to swallow it. Attendees' signs ranged broadly in topic, some mentioning cuts to libraries and others pushing for reproductive freedom and rights, some offering anti-Elon Musk and anti-Trump sentiments, pride flags, and more. Now, as far as I can tell, I don't think this story is dated. Let me check the date. That's right, it's April 5th. This sounds an awful lot to me like the legendary Seinfeld holiday of December. Was it the 24th or the 26th? I don't remember. Day before Christmas, day after Christmas. The airing of grievances. That's what this is. That's what these protests are. They're not hands-off protests. They're airing of grievances. They're demons screaming because Donald Trump and Elon Musk and the people that Trump has placed around him are trying to do, oh, yes, let me say it again, exactly what the majority of Americans elected them to do. Now, this is an interesting factoid in Danae King's story. Hosting the event was Indivisible. Who is Indivisible? Well, she's about to tell you. Kinda. It's an organization dedicated to resisting the Trump administration's agenda, which was recently involved in Tesla protests at Easton Town Center. Well, Danae, apparently you are not blessed with a reporter's sense of curiosity, because if Indivisible is behind this event and behind the 50 protests in 50 states on one day, maybe it'd be a good idea for you to use that thing you're typing on. It's called a computer or a laptop. It has a web browser on it, and you could plug in, like I did, indivisible George Soros, just in case they might be linked. George Soros. And what do you know? The very first story comes up and it says the Indivisible Project, a Washington-based nonprofit, has been almost entirely financed by George Soros's Open Society. It is coordinating a cross-country protest against Elon Musk, empowering grassroots affiliates to stop the Trump-Musk coup, according to its website. Danae, come on, where'd you go to journalism school? Really doesn't matter. They're all stupid now. They don't ingrain any kind of curiosity or anything. This is all funded by extreme leftists, okay? I always say when a demon is exorcised, it never goes quietly. Democrats lost the election overwhelmingly. I know the margin may seem close in the percentages, but when you don't win a single swing state, when you lose the popular vote, particularly when you're a Democrat, when you can't hold states that you held 4 years ago before we found out Joe Biden was a walking dead man, well, then you get to enjoy the democracy that you contend you are so staunchly protecting.
Sunshine and a few clouds this afternoon. Breezy, a shower or two. Look for a high of 54. A breeze warning for the overnight tonight. Breezy, clear to partly cloudy, low 22. Partly sunny, colder day tomorrow. Some flurries in the area. Snow shower in the afternoon, high 43. Cold day on Wednesday. Sun and clouds. A couple of showers for the afternoon. High on Wednesday, 46. Rain on Thursday with a high 55. I'm Steve Williams on 98.9 FM. The Answer.
Numbers don't lie. The impact that Balance of Nature makes every single day is astounding. You can see the numbers for yourself on their website at balanceofnature.com. Listen to these stats concerning Balance of Nature's worldwide success. More than 1,000 success stories reported each month. Hundreds of thousands of customers all over the world, millions of orders delivered each year, and billions, yes, billions of fruits and veggie supplements consumed by people like me who've decided to start living better. There's only one number missing from that. That's you. Do what I did. Add yourself to these numbers. Start taking Balance of Nature's whole food supplements like so many of us around the world. Here's another number that should get your attention, 35%. Use my discount code MikeG to get 35% off plus free shipping and their money-back guarantee. You got to use the discount code MikeG. Call Balance of Nature, 800-246-8751. Use the discount code MikeG or order online at balanceofnature.com. Use the discount code MikeG to get 35% off plus free shipping from Balance of Nature.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but you need to vacate this home.
Why, officer? I own this home free and clear. I lived here for 40 years.
Well, unfortunately, the paperwork says otherwise.
But I have nowhere else to go.
I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am.
This story is becoming all too common in the U.S. Scammers are preying on people with high equity or who own their homes free and clear of a mortgage. Only one company completely protects you. That's
Oh, my. Start of a new week.
Again,
Start of a new week. Can't wait for it.
Can't
wait for it.
Risk report from Equity Protect.
I'm CPA Brad Hennepert with Premier Tax CPAs. And the true value of using a CPA is getting guidance throughout the year, not just at tax time. During the year, we can actively advise you on your financial and tax planning and other major business decisions, just like an outside CFO. Too often, when you see your accountant only at tax time, we're really only keeping score of what you did last year. We'll prepare a comprehensive tax plan to maximize your deductions and minimize the tax you pay, and present you with money-saving options you may not have ever considered. We'll update your financial position each quarter, so there are no nasty surprises at tax time. At Premier Tax CPAs, we like to have consultations with our clients throughout the year because important financial information is only useful if it's timely. At Premier Tax CPAs, we're a firm that can work with you and your business throughout the year to help you make decisions before it's too late. Give us a call at Premier Tax CPAs at 614-524-4888. That's 614-524-4888.
The NLS Braille and Talking Book program gives patrons the freedom to read their way. Listen to their stories.
When I lost my sight, the only thing I had was reading, and it was like therapy to me.
NLS has pretty much anything you possibly want to read. Just can't recommend it enough. It's a free service. It's amazing how much you can get.
I have used every means there is, I think, of getting access to
National Library Service books.
If you want to read in electronic braille, you can. If you want to read on your phone, you can. If you want to read in heartprint, you can.
Everybody can read the way they want to read using this program. And it's a program we're looking into.
For more information about the National Library Service for the Blind and Physically Handicapped Library of Congress, visit loc.gov/thatallmayread or call 1-888-NLS-READ.
We are now less than 3 weeks out from the Larry Elder A Night with Larry Elder event at the Dare Dutchman restaurant in Plain City. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to meeting Larry. We'll have him on the show beforehand, talking about his trip to Central Ohio. And the program we'll have for you, it'll start at 7, but boy, don't get there at 7 or you will miss the delicious Dare Dutchman buffet that is included in the cost of your ticket. Where do you get your ticket? At 989theanswer.com. I'm going to get a ticket update I think later today, maybe tomorrow, probably tomorrow. And we'll find out how close we are. Now, we had a number in mind when we started. We oversold that number. We asked the Dare Dutchman, and they kindly obliged to enlarge the room. And so we'll have more people than we anticipated, which, thank you for that. We appreciate your interest. I don't want any of you to get shut out. I'm not trying to, lie to you. The tickets are dwindling. We're well over 200. And so it's going to be a great night with people who think like you and want to hear Larry Elder talk about California, talk about his career, talk about where he might be impacting the culture next. So join us. Buy a ticket, 989theanswer.com. So, no, I am not oblivious to the stock market losses. Although we started today, the futures. I'll look. We're gonna talk to Josh Pick of Aptus Wealth Management at 12:35, like we do every Monday for Money Monday. Typically, we gear it toward a longer view, some current events, but a longer view of retirement. I know your hair's on fire, many of you, because of the market's tumbling. And I understand it. My investments, I don't have a clue what has happened to them, but I'm confident Josh is, has control of my investments. But see, I'm not ready to retire yet. So like worrying about this is like, the Cavs had a game this year where they were down. What were they, Jeff? What was it, like 27-2 or something against the Celtics? Okay. Like if I'd have flipped that game on when it was 27-2, would I have tuned it back? No, I hear a more recent example. Saturday night, I'm watching Houston and Duke, and the Houston kid reaches across the baseline with Duke up 5 with 1:12 to go, and the Houston kid touches the ball while the guy's inbounding it. They call a technical foul. I'm like, okay, this game's over. And I shut it off, and I went to bed, and I go to church the next day, and I go through Sunday school, and then I mentioned to a buddy of mine in between Sunday school and church, and he's like, no, Houston won. I'm like, no, you're wrong, man. There's no way Duke blew that lead. Well, they did. Okay, so what matters? What I saw and what I thought? No, what matters is the final result. So don't stress about losses until you actually are drawing your money out. Warren Buffett, Peter Lynch, every great investor will tell you, if you don't have the stomach for it, don't own a stock market. Don't own pieces of the stock market. So the Democrats are using this as like, see, Trump doesn't know what he's doing. I don't know if Trump knows what he's doing or not. I think it's risky. Yes, I think it's politically risky. Do I think he'll stick with a strategy that tanks the American economy? No. Do I think if the American economy does tank and he did it intentionally, do I think there's a reason behind it? Yes, I don't believe he's a nefarious, I hate America guy who wants to like ruin our nation. I'd believe that if it were a Democrat, but I don't believe it if it's Donald Trump. All right, so I digress. We'll talk to Josh at 12:35. Hold your water until then. The losses now are not as bad as they were at the beginning of the day, okay? So nothing inherently changes about great companies like, well, I'm not going to name any companies because then you'll go out and invest in them, and if they go down, you'll blame me. But there are great companies out there. Nothing's changed about the companies with the tariffs. Nothing. The company is the company. Amazon, Google, whatever. Tommy Hilfiger, they're all the same. I find the overreaction to be so American and indicative of the first topic we were talking about today, the airing of grievances, not by Frank Costanza, but by the people who gathered down at the State House and all and 3 other areas around Ohio, funded by George Soros and Indivisible, which Danae King of the Columbus Dispatch neglected and to tell you because she's derelict in her duty as a reporter. Of course she is. How else would you get hired at the Dispatch? A 79-year-old woman, Vicki Jackson, according to Danae King, came to the protest with her husband Morris and their daughter Faith, and her home health aide Deborah Rowe. Now that tweaked my interest. That tweaked my interest. That this lady would be so motivated, she's 79, she's very old, to come with her home health aide. Now, I wanted to know right away. She has a home health aide. I wonder who's paying for that. And here's the answer later on. The Jacksons know many people, including their own daughter, who rely on Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security to live. Okay, so apparently none of them are working. They're all on the government dole, which means they're all on you and my dole. We're paying for their existence, which, okay, I get it. Old people need help. I don't know why the daughter can't work. But then I love the next addendum to the sentence from Danae King. The Jacksons know many people, including their own daughter, who rely on Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security to live, all of which are targeted for cuts by lawmakers. Danae, you can be derelict in your duty. I would just ask you not be a flat-out congenital liar. You have never heard Donald Trump or any Republican say, we're going to cut Medicare, we're going to cut Medicaid, we're going to cut Social Security. You keep saying it. It doesn't make it true. It does not make it true. But you want to scare old people, which I find to be very deplorable on your part, Danae. But you do you. You got to answer for you. And here is a quote from another protester, Vicki Jackson. We want the politicians to stand up, to have courage, to stand up for what's right in the United States. We want freedom and rights for everyone. Everyone deserves to be treated as a first-class citizen. Really? Everyone?
The White House falls.
I don't know why I dropped out.
And now the benchmarks are back deep in the red. Israeli
Don't know when it dropped out. And we're why.
President Trump in Washington
we'll
today.
Be back here with
The
more.
first foreign leader to visit with the president since U.S. tariffs on other countries were raised. Flooding rains, fierce winds, tornadoes have wreaked havoc across the South and the Midwest. Forecasters warn that flooding could persist for days, especially in Kentucky, Tennessee, and Alabama. And on Wall Street, the Dow is down more than 1,000 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless you know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-292-7875. 800-292-7875. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-292-7875.
News, opinion, passion. Here, 98.9 FM, The Answer. Anywhere you go with The Answer's mobile app at 98.9theanswer.com. Also on your smart speakers, TuneIn or iHeart.
As the temperatures warm and you start to see those daffodils, tulips, and lilies press up through the ground and flower and sprout, you realize it's time to mulch, it's time to mow, or it soon will be, and then you remember, ooh, man, when I move, I feel like a pig trying to walk on ice. Not comfortable. That's why you should take advantage of my friends at QC Kinetics. Hi, I'm Bruce Hooley, and I can tell you that QC Kinetics clinics throughout Central Ohio have helped get thousands of people out of pain. How do they do it? With advanced biologic treatment. That's a fancy way of saying they take your blood and concentrate the platelets, which are the healing agents, re-inject it into your affected areas, back, knee, elbow, hip, whatever it is, and voila, you get relief. Shouldn't you at least pursue the possibility of being pain-free without surgery or debilitating drugs? QC Kinetics free consultation, 380-208-4544, 380-208-4544, that's 380-208-4544.
You made it through another nasty Ohio winter. But let's be honest, there's something in your home that will kind of struggle through it. Yeah, it's your furnace. But the good news is you can get a jump on next year's winter now by getting a Goodman high-efficiency furnace from Temperature Pro for $2,000 from our discount shopping club. The regular price is $4,000. Temperature Pro is a leader in commercial and residential HVAC services. Get all the details at 98.9theanswer.com or by calling RMAT at 614-216-5049.
You've seen him on Fox News, Newsmax, CNN, and the Salem News Channel, and townhall.com. He's Chris DeGaulle, and you can hear him weekday mornings 6 to 9 on your station for news, opinion, and passion. 98.9 FM, The Answer.
If you are looking for a flooring remodel in your home, I hope you'll look at brucehooley.com and click on flooring. I'd love to help you with your project. I've helped many people throughout Central Ohio, and I'd like to help many more. So if you are concerned about selection, don't be. We have all the major name brands, Anderson, Shaw, Dreamweaver, and all of them. And we have the latest styles. I think we have like 8 or 9 different lines in luxury vinyl plank, which is such a phenomenal product that it's almost made hardwood extinct. And so you're worried about it being waterproof? Don't. It's waterproof. Don't. You're worrying about it scratching? Don't. Hardwood, not waterproof. Scratches, not the same. Luxury vinyl plank flooring is versatile. You say, well, I want ceramic tile in my bathroom. Did you know they make luxury vinyl plank that looks exactly like ceramic or marble? You didn't? Well, now you do. This is among the many things that I would love to chat about with you. If you go to brucehooley.com and click flooring, brucehooley.com and click flooring. We cheered, those of us on the right side of history and the right side of children and the right side of truth, when Donald Trump signed an executive order saying that there are 2 genders and saying that boys cannot play girls' sports But this is not something that the people on the left are going to allow Donald Trump to dictate to them. And so we have troubling details from state of Washington, where it's Interscholastic Activities Association, which is like its version of the Ohio High School Athletic Association, says that it will not obey and will not ban transgender athletes, which is to say boys, from girls' sports, because have you ever heard, have you ever heard, this is interesting. This is a way that you can debunk anybody who tells you, and I will point out some Jen Psaki and others. Who's the other nutcase from MSNBC? Oh, John Oliver. They say that it's barely happening, that this doesn't happen, that it's such a small issue that we shouldn't have to pay any attention to it. It's so small, which, as I've said before, is, okay, how much rat poison can I put in your coffee? Like just a drop certainly won't have any bad impact on your body, right? How much strychnine could I put in your sandwich? Just a teeny bit? You wouldn't be comfortable with that. That's why we're not comfortable with any girl being oogled, and this is the least of the worries, being oogled by a boy. It's psychologically traumatizing. It is demeaning to women. I thought you were the party that believed all women. Why don't you believe them when they say they don't want boys in their locker rooms? Why aren't you the ones who we're protecting all women? No, you're not. You're devaluing them. You're traumatizing them, or worse. But here's how you know that there's an advantage for a boy to compete against a girl. How many girls have entered a men's division and beaten a guy? I'll wait. We'll be here a while until the end of time, okay? Name me a girl swimmer who has entered a men's event and who dominates like Leah Thomas dominated, like these high school athletes dominate. We had a story over the weekend, I don't even know what state it was, where a kid who was last in his event on the junior varsity entered a women's competition and won. We have in England, in a billiards championship, a women's billiard championship, guess who the two finalists are? They're dudes, okay? The two women are dudes, right? They're not women. Okay, so why do I care about this? It's way deeper than sports. First of all, I care about it because it is a rejection, as I told you many times before, but I have to restate it. It's not anger or hatred toward the child who is trapped, or the adult who is trapped in this damaging ideology. It's not. The adults who abide them in this fantasy are the people who need to be stopped. They are the people who will answer for this evil in the afterlife. The kids are victims. They can be victimizers too. They can victimize girls because they've been themselves a victim, abetted in their delusion by their parents or by their teachers or by lawmakers. They can be both victim and victimizer. First they're a victim, then they can become a victimizer. Do they always? No. But it is psychologically damaging, and don't give me this garbage that their suicide rates are 12 times higher because people don't accept them. Their suicide rates are 12 times higher because they don't have any inner peace, because they're at odds with who God made them to be. And that is never more clear than in the case of the Nashville school shooter, who was transgender and who they tried to hide that from us and hide it and hide it and hide it. And as late as last week, the Nashville Police Department came out with a 48-page report, a final report, on the writings of the Covenant school shooter who killed 3 innocent little children and 3 innocent adults. And the Nashville police said, there's no manifesto. There was no manifesto. This was just a troubled person. And a manifesto is is one paper, and the collective writings of a person don't really shed any light on them. And you gotta organize them all in one thing. Baloney. Baloney. This shooter had an array of journals, over 1,000 pages in length. And it's interesting, before I get to what she wrote in her journals, CNN writes a story. And you know which side of the issue CNN's on. How the Covenant school shooter planned the deadly attack for years while manipulating parents and therapists. Oh, really? Manipulating parents and therapists. Quoting the story from, oh, this is from the Nashville police. She regularly manipulated others into giving her what she wanted, and she railed against those who saw through the manipulation. You mean like, would you rather have a dead son or a live daughter? You mean like that? You mean like gender affirming care? All right, today on the Megyn Kelly podcast, she has possession of these journals. And in her morning update today, she read from some of the journals. I want you to get a window into, if you're a parent and you have a child who's being taken down this horrific road by friends, on Reddit, on other social media platforms, I support you in refusing to go along with this and standing up against it, because I'm not saying every single case of this will head this way, but this is a window into the mind of a deeply, deeply troubled individual.
The journals contain many pages expressing the killer's belief that she was a man and was born in the wrong body. In one entry dated April 12th, 2022, titled "Let Kids Choose Their Sex," the killer writes, quote, "I only wore some nice girl clothes as a cover-up from the truth, which I denied myself all these years, and I hated all of it. It was miserable being raised a girl because I had no choice. There was lack of education research and medicine to help society or parents better understand transgender. I didn't know trans existed. I thought you could only be gay or bi, and that's the fate you had. But transgender is transcending way deeper to the core. There is still medicine to be approved by the FDA, and so little research has been done. If I had puberty blockers back then, I would have transitioned a long time ago, but I didn't know you could possibly change your sex. I'm mad that no one told me until I was 22. I feel I'm too old and too late to become a man. Now the process takes months to years. By the time that happens, I'm 30. And then 10 years later, I got a bald spot on my head and look like an old man. Hell no. It's best to start it at 16 for shots. But my youth is over, way past now. And it's over. How dare God hand me a training bra when I didn't know WTF it was as a kid. I hated it. We should all choose our gender."
How many lies was she fed and believed? 20 years, she says 20 years ago, there's no, because it was a lie 20 years ago, and it's a lie now. And the more people propagated that lie, the more this person fell for it. And again, more from the journals from Megyn Kelly, which demonstrates just how sick in the mind this person was.
The next page is titled "Trans Man." The killer writes, quote, "I knew I was a boy the moment first memories and development formed. Being a tomboy wasn't a phase. Parents forced children into the way they were biologically born. I don't care what authority says, but no adult is fair when they don't let their children want to choose being a boy or girl because they think children don't know anything."
And guess what? Your brain's not developed until you're 25 years old. And if you think you are a sex different than you were born, you are being deluded. You are being deluded. And the result of that delusion ends up being horrific. Here's one more cut from Megyn Kelly on what's in the journal, perhaps the most telling one of all.
The next page is called "Killer List," and it is a list of the killers from Columbine, Sandy Hook, Parkland, DC snipers, Jeffrey Dahmer, Tim McVeigh, Jim Jones, and others. Around the names, hand-drawn images of guns and bloody knives.
So that is what abiding this delusion does to people. And there's 6 lives that are snuffed out, which, like the ripples on a pond, affect moms, dads, brothers, sisters, people who love them, people who will grow up with a absence in their life that they'll never be able to fill, because people in power advocate for this and tell that the lie is true.
Sunshine and a few clouds this afternoon. Breezy to shower or two. Look for a high of 54. A freeze warning for the overnight tonight. Breezy, clear to partly cloudy, low 22. Partly sunny, colder day tomorrow. Some flurries in the area. Snow shower in the afternoon, high 43. Cold day on Wednesday. Sunny clouds. A couple of showers in the afternoon. High on Wednesday, 46. Rain on Thursday with a high 55. I'm Steve Williams on 98.9 FM. The Answer.
Financing a home, especially in today's market, is one of the biggest decisions you'll make for your family. Work with a mortgage company that puts you first. I do. Work with a lender founded on biblical principles like do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. I do. It's Mike Gallagher for the only mortgage company.
Later on in the journal, 3 pages that appear to have been printed and affixed.
Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by The Book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
While Dennis Prager is recuperating, we know you miss your daily dose of Dennis. That's why Pragertopia is giving you a special gift. Right now, Pragertopia members can hear the best 2 hours of Dennis's favorite segments from as far back as 2010. On Monday, you can hear the Happiness Hour.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what I'm about.
Tuesday is Celebrity Guest Day.
Donald Trump Jr. is in studio with me.
On Wednesday, it's the Male-Female Hour.
I really do wish there were a way to ascertain the number of marriages that this hour has helped.
Thursday, the Ultimate Issues Hour.
Not having ultimate issues clarity is like having a map, but you don't know where you're going.
And Friday is Open Lines.
Feel free to ask me anything about me, about you, about life.
So if you're missing your daily dose of Dennis, go to Pragertopia.com and hear all your favorite segments, along with lectures, celebrity interviews, his famous Torah teachings, and more. Get your daily dose of Dennis at Pragertopia.com. Pragertopia.com.
Are you among the millions of Americans living with chronic pain? If so, you may think prescription opioids are the solution. The truth is, the benefits of opioids are limited. Opioids only mask the pain. Opioids also come with serious side effects, ranging from nausea to withdrawal symptoms to overdose. As many as 25% of people who are prescribed opioids struggle with addiction. And those who are addicted to opioids are 40 times more likely to move on to heroin. No one wants to live in pain, but no one should put their health at risk to be pain-free. There is another choice: physical therapy. Physical therapists treat pain through movement and exercise, no warning labels required, and you get to be an active participant in your care. Choose to treat your pain safely. Choose physical therapy. Visit moveforwardpt.com to find a physical therapist near you. This public service announcement is brought to you by the American Physical Therapy Association.
Chris Domine is a husband, father, an athlete, even an Ironman. But 10 years ago, Chris's kidneys were failing.
The doctor said if you don't get a kidney transplant, you are going to die.
Chris received a second chance, made possible by an organ donor.
Your well-being.
Suspension,
An organ, eye, and tissue donor. Leave behind the gift of life. Go to organdonor.gov. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Check out the Discount Shopping Club at 989theanswer.com. It's one of the many useful things you'll find at our website, 989theanswer.com. You can listen live to the station anytime you want to. You can also listen to any podcast of the station. Now, the podcasts are programs that you hear and some programs that you might have missed. For instance, we have an array of programs that air once a week. If you've missed it on the day that it airs, like the Aptus Retirement Blueprint radio show that airs Friday night at 6 and Saturday at noon. Hey, nervous about the markets? I'd go back and listen to that on a podcast and have your fears calmed, or at least get a perspective that you don't have. Miss a portion of the Mike Gallagher show or the Larry Elder show or Charlie Kirk? You can find it at 989theanswer.com. The Discount Shopping Club affords you the chance to save money half off on some big-time products like tuition discounts at Ohio Christian University, Valor Christian University, mattresses from Mac Mattress Outlets, and furnaces from Temperature Pro Columbus. Other deals available. Discount Shopping Club, 9890answer.com. So I don't want to overload you guys with this demonic transgender ideology. I just try to steel you for the fact that it has to be confronted. It has to be defeated. It has to be eradicated because it's damaging to kids. And it's not just damaging to kids. It's damaging to other people. Here's what can happen. It's happening already in Europe. It's going to happen here if we don't stand up and say absolutely, positively not. We are not going to put up with this. We are not going to allow this. There is a nurse named Jennifer Millay. She has been thrown out of her job in England because she referred to a male patient who wanted to be referred to as a female. She referred to him as he. She's Ugandan. She's under investigation. Britain has a anti-hate speech law where you can be put in jail for posting things online, misgendering, dead naming, all these stupid terms that they have, forcing you to comply with their ridiculous delusion. But I want you to hear from her as she's going through this situation. And the left is clever. They start this under the mantle of kindness, right? Oh, just be kind. Just be nice, be kind. Just put your pronouns on your email signature. It's like, what does that hurt? What's the damage in that? Just send your emails with the rainbow on in June. I mean, just there's nothing wrong with that. It's just being kind, right? Jesus was kind. Jesus was nice. Jesus would have you do. This is what Jesus would do. No, it isn't what Jesus would do. It is not what Jesus would do. Jesus loved people. He died for people. Such was his love for people. And he did not abide them in their delusion that their own goodness could ever bridge the chasm between man's sinful nature and God's holiness. Jesus was a truth teller. Jesus was the truth. Okay, so back to this nurse. I want you to hear from her. What happened to her? This is happening in England. It's very possible it will someday happen in America if we don't refuse to go along with this ever escalating evil in our country. She's, of course, a Christian. She was investigated, targeted by the British Health Organization. The person she was referring to is a convicted sex offender. So she was demoted, moved to another ward. Well, I'm actually surprised she's in shock. This is the kind of thing that they're doing in Britain. And it is absolutely positively where this is going here if we don't get our arms around it. There's one more Megyn Kelly cut I want to play for you from the writings of the Nashville Covenant school shooter who killed 6. this more than anything gets to the root of the issue.
Later on in the journal, 3 pages that appear to have been printed and affixed into the journal titled, "I Hate the American People." In it, the killer writes, quote, "White people who want to take away instead of adding more. What do you call that? America is not the land of the free. It's a land full of idiots. It will only get worse in this country. Not near enough gods like me. America and its people, all destined to soon be destroyed." The entry signed, quote, "I hate you all, Aiden."
Aiden is the name that this shooter gave herself. Did you catch the part at the end where this affirming care, where this abiding the delusion leads to the elevated sense of self, the lack of connection to the fact that you could murder people you don't know, and it would be, in your mind, a righteous act, one that would grab you fame. Did you catch the phrase? Listen one more time. Listen closely, not to the whole cut, just to the part that I'm talking about. Gods like me. This person saw herself as a god because she believed, because others had told her so, or the culture had ingrained in her, that what was impossible was possible. That becoming a man was possible when it is not possible. That if only the right drugs, only the right surgical procedures had been visited upon her, that she would have been able to become something that she could never become. This person was disconnected from the truth that God created her uniquely to accomplish something that would fulfill her, rather than to end the lives of people she did not even know and feel no compunction about doing so, but rather viewed it as a way to capture fame, like the serial killers that in the previous cut Megyn Kelly said this person wrote down as people she idolized. People like the Columbine shooters and other mass killers. We have a serious mental health crisis in our country. And nowhere is it more glaring and more destructive to people who are afflicted with it and to people who become the victims of it than with the transgender movement. I'm thankful we have a president who is dug in on eradicating this evil from our nation. It is a spiritual battle. It is one we need to pray about, but it is one that we cannot back away from. Because if we do, we're going to have more lives destroyed. Whether the person ever picks up a gun like the shooter did in Nashville, whether they end the life of anyone else, their own life is ruined by people who would enable them to believe this lie, that they could become something that they are not, that they were never designed to be and never can become. I have to work at compartmentalizing my anger on this issue toward the people who drive it rather than the people who are afflicted with it.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses.
That's so heartbreaking to hear from that person. I mean, they're evil, but they were sucked into it by other people. So.
To get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1
I can't even imagine.
They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs.
The grief her parents bear.
You qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf.
I wish I could end this portion of the program on a higher note. I promise I'll end the next hour on a higher note. If you want to catch the next hour of the program, it's on the Bruce Hooley Show Facebook page or the 9890 Answer Facebook page. Yeah.
So when we call Josh